I believe we are up and going. Let me just repost this for a quick second. There we go. Alrighty. What's going on, everybody? Oh, nice. We got a few people in here, some familiar faces. We back. Happy New Year. Howdy. What's going on? Good to see you guys. Happy to see a bunch of you still trading, still in the game. Hope you guys are doing well. We've got Mr. in here, Stuff and Such, Tina, Payne, One to Want. Nice failed fall through today on IBRX. Was off desk, but at least it was a play. I've got plenty to go over. I'll throw my chart up there. Plenty of executions there to go over on IBRX. Currently net red on it today, but with my unrealized, I'm fairly green on it. I just am swinging and looking to get that first red day capture tomorrow. But I had traded this one on Friday, right over here, given that it was like a walk up, starts to get a bit bigger candles. You get some speed up, and then you get a gap. So I was short into this little wick there on Friday, and 490s was the key level there. But we got this steady grind, big after hours blowout, and then in pre-market we got an exhaustion gap. So I was short basically right in here. We got that 7 a.m. shove, hard crack, lower highs. I was short through here in the 490s. I didn't see it here, and then I covered all in the 430s in this higher low. I was reshorting pops, 430s using this 520-ish as a guide, covering these pulls, and then ended up stopping out on a core. So still ended up green on that one on Friday, which is always a good outcome when you're wrong and can end up green on it. But yeah, the trade-off open just didn't work. Was looking for it to fail those 440s. It didn't. Reclaimed the 490s, so I didn't fight it. It never broke back down, so there was no reason to continue to trade it. And then I was traveling on Friday. I was meeting a bunch of traders, about 20 of us, up at Whistler for a little ski snowboard trip, and so I was off desk throughout the afternoon. Was talking with a couple of the guys and noting this gap up here in after hours. So was hoping for a parabolic gap up, parabolic reactive trade. The market was gapping down today with SPY, which could have had some effect there on IBRX. It was so strong in after hours, and sometimes it's just so strong that it's like peak demand, and then once market comes, it's like nobody home. So 2:30 my time here. I was up thinking that we might get like a 4 a.m. rip that I could react to, which we didn't. So I was waiting. We got a little pop here versus red to green. I was super small. I think this candle was maybe like 100 or 200 shares. It was next to nothing. But I just wanted to put it in my port so that I was staying focused on it. And if it were to stay heavy, then I would just scale into it. But it reclaimed immediately, so I just went to bed. Went back to sleep and for a couple more hours. And I don't think if you had any sort of sizable position, anyone would have been able to go to sleep on a big runner like that. But like I say, it was super tiny, so I didn't have a stop when I put the starter on. Even here was like another super small, probably what this one was, like a couple hundred. And then we started to get some failed follow through. So then I start to add, start to like double, triple my size through here. But waited for full size till open. and was looking to use the pre-market highs as a guide. So wanted to see, plan off the open was the 670, 680 failed fall through level. It was a push, held a couple times, and then failed right here. So I was using this 670, 680s as a guide and was risking verse 7. So right here I was basically 1R off of 7, and then you can see these wicks where it continues to push and fail, 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 and it keeps trying to break high a day and keeps getting slammed back under those 670s, 680s, the key level. And then when I really would have scaled is if it started to break down under those 640s, 650s. That was key over here. So it didn't. I was probably about 2 to 3R on this stop, and then it cleared out and then slammed right back down. And this was the first 5 minute to make a new low. You can see this bar, this bar, this bar, higher low, and then right here was the first 5 minute bar to make a new low. So that was the reason for this entry. We get this big engulfing red bar, a 5 minute trend change. So I short this one, risking about 2R off of highs. And while I was talking with a bunch of traders this weekend, I was saying that I was happy to lose on something like this. I've been sitting on hands and not trading super big for a little while, just waiting for A+ ops to come. So I was willing to swing the bat hard on something like this, but also have to respect stops, whether the P&L is pretty or not. So shorted this one, was looking for this again. The 670 came into play yet again right here when it failed, lower highs, and if this failed 670s, I would have really scaled into this as like a failed fall through setup. But this little swipe candle was probably the trend shift, but I just didn't want to be emotional. You can see all these pops that pull back pretty hard. So I didn't just want to react to a random 1 minute candle. So I just left my stop in there and waited for it to hit me. So at this point was down pretty decent, taking 2 above average size losses. But typically my rule is on the day, three losses on one ticker, and I have to stop. So if this sets up again, then I was interested in one more try. So right here in one candle, I basically put on the same size I was over here. So I shorted 740s, risking 8, and then was looking for this failed fall through level here. Prior support, prior support, prior support to become resistance, which we got, but as usual, I'm off desk right around 11, so I'm not really watching it. I'm trying to get out of the house. So then we get this hard crack, so remote from my phone. I start adding into that one, and I start adding, and don't really move my stop past high a day. I think that is the key level. I didn't want to risk 750s, have this grind back, stop out, but still be under like this 760s, 770s filled fall through. So I just accepted if this was going to come back that I'd just take a pretty nasty red day, but stayed weak, stayed sub VWAP. I put on another little piece into close. So what would be perfect in my eyes, I love these bounces into the afternoon, staying under this 670, 680 that we noted as key all morning. So I love that it stayed below that all afternoon, which was why I put on this one more piece. So in a perfect world, we get like a flat open, a 670 reject, and then an opening range breakdown, because then I get a high a day that I can move risk down to and pyramid into. And then I also get like an opening range breakdown setup in addition to this not having gone red yet. So it would be kind of like a pattern inside a pattern where, like, if you remember, or it's FFAI, like we've gone over a bunch of these charts in the past. Was it this one? I don't think it was that one. It was further back. FF, right here. where you get like this gap to gap sequence. You get a massive fail and then a gap up into that huge overhead resistance is like a gift. And then like Shot did something similar. Doesn't have a ticker anymore. What else did we have? There was some. Did DXYZ do it? Like right here, where you get this gap to gap sequence, a big weak close, gaps up into resistance, and then fails. There's been a few. There's been quite a few. But if you're picturing this as like a bunch of traders and you're picturing a chart as a visual representation of trader psychology, there was no reason to sell. It was gapping up, closing strong, gapping up, closing strong. And now you gap up, you get this weak open that collects shorts, goes parabolic, and then now you get a ton of bag holders. It's the biggest volume bar of the run up. And now you've got basically 670s plus is all bag holders, and it holds below it. So on something like that, I always look for a pullback towards the 4 EMA. So I keep key levels, something like the 490s that was key from over here, $4, maybe like prior days, volume profile into like this 520s area. But those are like reward potential targets. But anyways, looking at it as an opportunity tomorrow is this hasn't gone red yet. So you're using kind of the bag holders and the weak close, kind of anticipating a gap down and looking for that failed follow through into the next day. So like I say, in an ideal world, we get the shove and immediate fail off 670s. But in the event that we do gap down, I am fairly sized. So a gap down would be pretty nice as well. I just think in the near term, like in the next 1 to 2 days, I think price favors lower. It did run on good news, like huge revenues growth and stuff. So in like the weeks and months, it could continue higher. I have no idea. But I'm just looking for like a 1 to 2 hour trade off open. Look for this to flush into the fives and collect some money. So that's basically the review on that one. I put it on watch just because of that walk up, and then once it started to really expand, then I had started trading it. So this was the first big gap day I think was worth a shot, and I managed that pretty well. And then today, I don't know how I feel about today. I don't really hate it. Maybe a bit of FOMO with the pre-market entries. I'm not always entering pre-market, so maybe a bit of FOMO that I didn't want to miss such a big trade. Could be a piece of feedback there. But I don't hate the covers through highs a day when they don't continue to work. And it's just going to show that my risk tolerance is improving because fairly red on it after 2 trades and being above average losses, and then being able to get right back in there and trust the thesis. So this is really like the only main watch right now for me. But let me see the chat there. I feel like I haven't seen any good multi-day runs since BYND. Yeah, that one was gorgeous. But see, this was one of those ones that just gap to gap, huge fail, and then you get a shove back up into prior day's resistance before fading off again. I'd love a push and some sort of failed follow through tomorrow. Higher the better. Just please no gap down. Hopefully you all hope for a gap down. Big money 2026. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of why I took the approach of carrying a balance over. Was just what we've seen lately. Excuse me. Is what was the ticker? I had just talked about it with some friends the other day. Let me see here. Let me Give me 2 seconds. I'll try to find it. Why doesn't this let me? It was in my Discord with some friends, but it's not letting me search properly. What the hell? Oh, it was EVTV. That's what it was. It was right here. I had said, because this is what we've been, this was a trade from today. I took 2 trades. I was going to go over that one after. But so right here, so we've got 1 day move and then 2nd day move. And right around 11:19, right in here, I was like, wow, we're actually getting a multi-day runner where it runs for a day, it pulls back but doesn't break red to green or green to red, and then continues going. And I was like, it's about time they put out offering or news or something, because we're not supposed to have nice things, was basically the gist of what I was saying. And this thing pulls back from 490 all the way down to 3, like does a $2 pull, which would have been the meat of the move, looking for that first red day. So it just gets absolutely smoked and rolls over lower in after hours and then gaps down the next day. So that's what has been being rewarded with these multi-day runners, is they've almost been like working out the crowd, and then once they feel like there's no one in it that's going to make any money, then it seems like that's when they let it work. And a lot of times it's been on these overnights and gap downs. Something like roller, for example, where it goes on a multi-day run, has this first red day, and then boom, gap down. So your risk is fairly wide if you're playing this day, closes super weak, and then gap down. Silver's even been doing it, where it's just like run up, speed up, big extension day, gap down. If you're not in it overnight, see you later. Same thing right here. Up, 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 boom, big gap down. Up, 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 boom, big gap down. And that's just what's been rewarded in this market. So that was part of the reason for the overnight, that I think they could just have worked out traders and chopped them up enough here that if they were involved here, maybe they covered to like make back some losses, or they didn't re-hit because most of these pulls have held. But closing sub VWAP, closing below key levels, I think gives me enough merit for a swing. So let's see here. Tricky Dan IBRX feels like the wide pre-market action with the early fade made the intro a bit messy. Yeah, I wouldn't say it was an easy one. It is also like a multi-billion-dollar company. It's not your typical small cap, which probably, like, it's got more players in it. So that probably has something to do with it as well. But yeah, like I say, I think the pre-market entries were probably just FOMO trades. I don't hate this shove into pre-market resistance as an entry and that cut. I just think I could have been a bit smaller size without having to add to a loser. Still within plan. Risk was always towards 7. But I think the loss could have been a bit smaller on that first attempt if I just waited. You've been studying anything during this slow time for runners? I know Lance has made some killer breaking news trades. I'm worried to explore many different setups right now. Kind of specialize on runners. Did I trade roller? Would I consider it a bounce? Run up wasn't. Yeah, no, I didn't trade roller. Huddy was on the trip with me this weekend, and we were talking about it briefly just because he traded it. But most of the range from 3 to 15 was just a gap, and then 15 to 30, but it gave it all back the next day. Just too wide range on the daily. and wasn't a super clean runner like you say by any means. So I'm not interested in it for a backside bounce. It's given back 100% of its move, um, just because I consider it from the low of the run bar. So I don't not looking for that one. And have I been studying anything? Yeah, I've been studying these larger cap multi-day breakdowns just because I feel like this sort of price action right now isn't super healthy, where we keep trying to make new highs and just can't. Whether this continues for another year or so, I don't know. But I think we get to have like maybe another like 2022 period where we get something like this, where these breakdown trades actually set up pretty nice. And Microsoft, I was trading. Come on, zoom in. There we go. Microsoft, I was trading because we had this fairly clean. I had stopped out of it initially here, where we had this higher low, higher low, higher low, close below it, tight day, and I was looking for this to fall through under 70, so I stopped out right there, and then it rebroke through 470s and has been working pretty nice. So that was one, and then DocU was another one. Exact same setup, where you get this big run, pulls back, you get this horizontal support here at 63.50s, and then once it breaks, it's just a steady unwind for like $8 a share. So these larger cap breakouts is definitely something I've been studying. I've traded them in the past on some bear market moves like AMD through here. Even was it DVLT over here? I was trading that breakdown. NUAI, like it works. The market's fractal. So even through here, where we get this failed fall through, breakdown right through here, and then pullback. So the setups work across different market caps. But I've been looking at these larger caps because they, as like swing ideas, like put the trade on and let them work, would be something that I've been looking at. What other types of setups do you and Nate trade? Well, Nate can trade pretty much anything under the sun. He's trading like equities, options, small caps, large caps, anything like that. I'm a lot more pigeonholed than what he does, but he likes to react to parabolics. He likes to trade failed fall through, multi-day runners, multi-day breakouts, T+1 liquidity traps. He likes to trade everything, but with 20 plus years in experience, I think that's fair to say. But as far as setups that I trade are typically multi-day moves. Something like an IBRX where it goes on a big multi-day extension and look for a first red day. EVTV, I can go over this trade because if I open up the intradaily, you can see big front side move, pulls back, consolidates right near highs, and then starts to break out through these $384 area. So I was looking for this as like a starter, and then look to add to that multi-day breakout level there through like 490s 5. Saidu, I traded that one because it was a multi-day breakout right through here, a multi-day breakout right through there. Oops, I don't want this on there anymore. So it was a multi-day breakout right through here. This one gapped up, so I don't typically trade the gap ups, but we get a resistance level, holds higher lows, lower high. We get this trigger level here through 3s and get a nice run into the 4s, followed by a big gap up, follow through, gap up. So I like multi-day runners for front side trend joins on the breakout side when they speed up. And you get something like this. I like to mean revert, trade these daily parabolics for a first red day. And if this were to pull back for 1.5 red days, then I could play a backside bounce and look to bounce it back up into prior resistance. So if we could get a red day on this, maybe tomorrow pulls back to like 5, and the next day pulls back to 4, then maybe I can bounce this back up into like 6 for like a short-term little day trade. So do I drink tap water? Yep. The fluoride is delicious, washes down the lead paint. Yeah, I'll drink tap water. I don't really care. We've got, Vancouver's got some of the cleanest water in the world. So it's not something I'm worried about in the slightest. Maybe if I was over in like Haiti or something, I wouldn't drink just any water, but yeah, I'll drink whatever. I feel like Nate just needs a momentum with volume and range. He's just so good at playing either side. His Sunday scans were so good. Yeah. Nate's criteria is volume and range. He trades in play tickers. He trades intraday setups. He trades daily setups. He trades multi-day setups. Um, and volume and range. And he plays any in play name of any market cap and price range. I'm good at multi-day runners to the short side. What else a new trader should focus on? That's actually a great talking point, because what's a good thing for a new trader to focus on is whatever you're good at. So what I did as a new trader in my first couple years is I tried to get as much data as possible by trading, like, I think I had 800 trades in like the first 2 years. With the goal of collecting data, of trading everything and categorizing it by setup so that I could find out what I was good at and find out what I sucked at. And I found out I was good at breakouts, mean reversion, and backside bounce. And once I started doing those three things, my profit curve went from down, down, down to bottoming to right back up. So that was the way I did it, and that's the only real answer I can give is what should a new trader focus on is whatever you're good at, and to find that, you just track your trades, and the data speaks for itself. Nate's a master. Yes, he is. 21 years in the game. He is a G. And not only is he a good trader, he's a good dude. He takes care of his people. Super nice guy. Funny, easy to talk to, very personable. He's a solid dude. Yeah. He catches all the big plays. He definitely misses a bunch. He's open about that in the Traders Lounge, but if you see what he does on Twitter, like he uses Twitter for a couple things. Twitter is an advertising tool at the end of the day. He's got a business and he's got subscribers, so he's got a big following, so why not use Twitter? So if you've got a good trade, post it on Twitter and it might bring subscribers looking to follow and catch the next one. So that could be one point. Another one that he does use Twitter for is kind of like a highlight reel, where he, instead of using, like some people will post pictures in a Discord or post stuff in an Evernote or on an Excel file or something, Nate uses Twitter, and he uses the Twitter search feature, categorizes stuff by ticker and whatnot, and is able to go back and look at different setups and different tickers from ones that he traded. And then he also uses it as like a memory bank where have I seen this before? So if he was looking at trading IBRX, he might be, where have I seen this before? And he's got like a photographic memory where he would recognize a daily chart like this, compare it to another ticker, and be able to search that on his Twitter because he posts good charts that set up well for him. So I think he uses Twitter as a threefold, but he does play like a lot of stuff. There's not too many slow markets for Nate, but if you're going based off of what's on Twitter, it's not. He's very open in Investors Underground. I will say that. So if he misses something, he'll post a trade of like an early cover or a stop out that ends up working or something like that. So to get a full picture, you have to be an IU. But obviously, he's not going to post everything on Twitter because he does have a service. So why post it for free? It's nice to once in a while realize that I'm getting better. My P&L isn't always reflecting it lately, but I really can feel that I'm getting better and better at trading. That's awesome. 1% better every day. And it's small habits that kind of stack up over time. And once they start to click, then that P&L curve definitely starts to curl back up to where you want it. So the P&L, I would say, is a lagging indicator, but also, like as Kevin Hart once said, the hardest part about doing something you love and chasing a dream is waking up every day knowing that you did everything you could, everything in your power. You got nothing to show for it, and you get to wake up and do it again the next day. And I think that's truer than ever in trading. It was obviously true with comedy with Kevin Hart, where he would go to a comedy club. He'd be writing stuff that he thought was funny. He'd get crowd laughs, but he wouldn't get signed. He wouldn't get contracts. And he'd do it again and again and again. Didn't have any money to show for it, but he got some laughs, and it felt like he was getting better and better. And just to wake up and do that same thing every day and get no results, most people give up. Interesting info. You bet, you bet. Yeah, this was my execution on EVTV, if anyone cares. It was a quick little stop out. It was an opening range break and then a stop at lows, and I took it off early just because this looked pretty weak. It couldn't reclaim, so I just moved on and ended up getting smoked. So you read Atomic Habits? I have not. Guy who wrote it just had a podcast with Andrew Huberman. Figured you might have read it with 1% Better Mentality in the book too. I don't really read a ton of books. Like I've read like The Intelligent Investor, Security Analysis. I do like what do you call them? Like autobiographies, like Green Lights with Matthew McConaughey, Will by Will Smith. Like I like reading about how people have done it and excelled in their craft, because success leaves clues, and there's always like commonalities across different jobs. So I do enjoy reading that kind of stuff. Something like Atomic Habits, I believe I have got it in my Audible, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. But with those kinds of books, if I read it, I won't really comprehend it. I don't put a bunch of practice into trying to read well. So I typically would listen to something like that while I was driving or while I was working or something like that. But no, I haven't read it yet, but I will. The podcast would be more my speed. Good quote for upcoming traders. This channel is a gem for beginners. Go back and watch old videos, watch lists, follow up trade reviews. Yeah, 100%. I just wasn't super active doing the watch list like November and December because, like, 100% honest, I wasn't trading. Like I'd show up in the morning, I'd run scans, I'd show up in the evening, I'd run scans, and there just wasn't anything. I felt like if I was going to place a trade, I was just donating money. And I've said it before where I trade very similar to Kyle, and you can see on his YouTube trade reviews that he's just losing money. And I just don't see the point in, first of all, a trader who's far better than I am, Kyle. And if we're trading the same stuff and it's just not working, stuff sets up. The trades just don't work. So why would I continue to try it? So I had like a week or two of drawdown. I think it was in November, later November, early December, something like that, where I had like a week or two, and I just recognized it, took my hands off, was like, I'm going to be picky, go back to strict criteria, and I just wasn't trading much. So there was really like no watch list to be had. So what am I going to hop on here and talk about building stuff? But yeah, for sure, go back and watch the videos. And like IBRX is a great trade to review, a great setup. So 100% I'll hop on here and do a review. Also, like on Twitter, and if you're in Investors Underground, I've been posting my watch lists on there, written form with some chart and annotations and stuff. So If you follow me on Twitter, I post them on there. And if you're in Investors Underground under the watch list category, I post stuff there. So if there's like short form stuff that I feel like I want to share, it's out there. But yeah, as far as videos, I just haven't been going crazy. Lance said in his recent video, I know too much to quit. It'd be a waste of life to quit now. Pretty heavily invested. Yeah. Yep. I know too much to quit. Ain't that the truth? Yeah. It's one of those things where there's always a trader like Nico. What's his name? Something Market. Something Market. I can't remember. He traded for a prop firm, I believe, for a little bit. Nico Inefficient Market, I think might have been his name. But he was like 8 to 10 years of unprofitability, losing. Like imagine losing for 10 years. And he didn't quit, and he's 7-figure trader, traded at a prop firm, and he's a good trader. He trades really well. But imagine if you're like year 7, year 8, year 9, and he's like, how much longer am I going to do this? I just give up. And it was year 10 that it was. It's like that that little meme of the guy chipping for diamonds. The one guy quits and he's like half an inch from a diamond, and the other guy is going to keep going. Like you never know when that one, that's what always kept me going, is you never know when that one trade that is just like, you get a monster trade that gives you some cushion, that lets you put some risk on, maybe you're a bit risk averse and you're risking like $50, $100, and you get one trade that's like 2K, 5K. Well, that pays for like 20, 50 trades at that $100 risk. So now you got some cushion to try some stuff. Or you find a setup that's working and it just makes sense to you. Like maybe these multi-day runners, maybe we got one a week for the next like 6 months, and you understood this setup inside and out, and then you can just nail this for the next 6 months, and you turn like 20K to $1 million. Like you just never know when that one market, when that one setup, when that one idea, when that one trade, it could always be there tomorrow. And that's what like my mentality of what kept me going for so long. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I was almost eager to trade this thing today, not only for the setup, but I wanted to put some risk on because of the traders I was hanging out with on the weekend. They were absolute killers. Like Short Bear was there, Lucas. I talked with him quite a bit, picking his brain, getting to know each other. It's not always about trading. I like to know people. But yeah, Lucas was there. He's a monster. He's going to be in the next Market Wizards. Kyle Williams, Huddy was there. A few other guys. Do you guys know Japez on Twitter? He was there. A few other guys that are kind of under the radar that don't really like to be public, so I won't kind of run their names off. But yeah, there was a ton of people over there. It was super solid. Met some new people, saw some familiar faces, had a ton of laughs. It was a really good weekend. I think that's what's awesome about having other passions, like building stuff. Keeps you from pushing buttons and bleeding, and your pattern isn't always there. So as long as you never quit, it just compounds. Yep. Still in this game. Soon it's going to happen. Amen. I love that. I love that. If you guys do find value in these videos, if you could like repost them on Twitter or something, I would appreciate that. I think one day I'd like to get this over the 1,000 sub mark. I think would be cool. If I start going back a bit more regularly, it probably happens. But yeah. Basically, the only real watch, like I could touch on SEG a little bit just because this was a liquidity trap of sorts. This was the former lottery.com, but you had this breakout here through the 140s and kind of liquidity trapped under it, where it pushed, inside day, held over that day one VWAP like I always talk about, where you can see the volume profile here, and it consolidates over it the whole next day. And then day 3 pushes up into it but can't quite get through it. And then if you look at the intraday here, it pushes up to that resistance, ABCD, breaks it, push, retest, 1, twice. You could take an entry here versus these lows. I probably wouldn't go back to low a day, but probably like into like this 130. Like get like 140s versus 130s, and you just get a massive parabolic. I was just super focused on IBRX. I saw this one breaking 140s, but I was just so focused on IBRX, I felt like it was a bigger op. Clearly not, because this could have paid pretty handsomely, risking 10 cents and make like $3. But that was one that I watched today. Silver, I had traded this parabolic into the end of December on, I think it was this gap down day, and I covered the wash, I believe. And then I traded this day here. I shorted this gap down day looking for a replay of the 2011 chart. And I had terrible risk management where I just sized in right away. So prior day's high was right here at like 84.70s, 84.80s. And we got this pull and this bounce, and I shorted it all here in the 81s and was just like max size versus prior day's highs, and this isn't going to break, I'm right. And I just shorted it and held and held and held and held, and then just kind of got lucky with the gap down, covered at 79s. So that was kind of a stupid trade. I'm pretty much done with silver. It just doesn't trade like platinum did, where it's just gap to gap to gap, and then you get that massive red day. It's actually a nice little breakout. And then MSFT and DOCU are breakdown trades. AMA's not really trading much liquidity, and EVTV failed today. So it's pretty much just IBRX in terms of trade patterns, chart patterns. I've been putting together like a master list of multi-day runs, so I can play X amount a day on Thinkorswim. I can leave all my first red days under one of your vids. If you ever get bored, it would be infinitely valuable if you could drop a list like that. We can combine lists or something, just an idea to get reps in. Yeah, one day coming up, I'll pull up my spreadsheet of all of my multi-day runner first red days. I'll just sort it by first red days, and it'll be done by date and setup and ticker and everything. So it'll be the trades I've taken, but over the last, I don't know, like 5-6 years, will be a fairly good list. So I could do that one day. You ever feel like taking trades on Spire Qs when we have days like today and there's clean breakdowns? I leave the desk at 11 every day. And no, I do not ever feel like trading SPY. Well, I shouldn't say ever. On days like in April, right here, when we get like small cap patterns on a chart like this, where it just goes gap to gap to gap, and then Monday you get that morning washout. You get stuff like Apple that does it. You get like Bank of America that does it. So that's pretty much when I would trade stuff like that. But on days like today, there's no... all my stuff stems from the daily chart. So if I don't have a daily chart pattern, I don't trade it. Definitely repost my Twitter. Awesome. Thank you. I also have a filled follow-through list and a first green day, but I bet yours is much more extensive. Just a ticker and date it happened. Yeah, I can do that. Again, I can just sort it by setup, so I can find those pretty easy. Playing on Thinkorswim on demand. If anyone is wondering, you can go back and play with fake money. Yeah, Thinkorswim is good. I've used that before. And what was that one? What's it called? Trading Sim. I think it's tradingsim.com. I think I've used that one before as well. But yeah, either one of those, as long as you can see like level 2 and stuff, it's good. Do roller or Beachel for first green day. I did touch on roller briefly on the beginning of this, and no. I gauged the run kind of from where the run started, not from where the gap started. So with it retracing 100% of its move, it's not super interesting to me. I would barely even call this a multi-day runner. It's just choppy and random to me. And SPHL, I believe, retraced most of its move as well. So it did run from 6 to 24, which was looking good, and then it got absolutely smoked the next day. So this is one, I think, like, if I had to pick one, like, gun to my head, I'd pick SPHL over Roller, but there's, like, no support below this. So could it bounce, like, into this little gap range, like, in, like, 6 to 12? It could, but I'd rather avoid that. It's not like an A+. So, yeah, IBRX is my only real watch. If you guys have DAS too, pull up the level 2. They've put a new market maker on DAS called Moon, and it shows overnight 24-hour pricing. So sometimes it was like Schwab or Interactive Brokers or Robinhood or something like that you'd have to go to see overnight prices. But DAS has it now with the Moon Market Maker. So you can't trade through it yet, as far as I know, but it does show the pricing. So IBRX right now is sitting at 641 by 646. So is currently gapping down just a little, but we'll see by tomorrow. But yeah, anything else you guys want to touch on? Otherwise, I can wrap it up there. I feel like a pretty good review, some good topics, and I can post this live once we're done. Appreciate the chatter. Very active in chat. You guys made my job easy this evening. Gold Resource announces preliminary Q4 production results. It's Don David Gold Mine. Net result is an improved year-end balance sheet of $25 million and no debt. Quarterly record sale of 663,500 ounces of silver and 1,700 ounces of gold. That's Goro. Putting out some news today. 600,000 ounces. Crazy. What's your watch list tomorrow is IBRX. That's it. We're in it to win it, baby. Thanks for everything. Thank you. Thanks. You betcha. Alrighty, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for the chit chat. And I will see some of you in Investors Underground tomorrow. And the rest of you I'll see on the next watch list.